Let me start with a story. Excuse me. A story. And make you the star of the story. You just went to a conference, or you read a great book, or you talked to a coach. You're fired up. You have clarity. You have got the formula you need. And you are ready to make changes. You go back to wherever work is, but your team isn't buying what you're selling. It's happened to me. It's happened to all of us. I'm going to take my glasses off so you don't see the reflection. Here's the hard part. The problem isn't them. It's you. You're not helping. But David, what do you mean I'm not helping? I invested in this coach. I've spent time with this book. I've gone to this conference. I took the notes. You're right. You heard the speaker. You read the case studies. You connected the dots. Your team, they haven't done any of it. They're coming on blind. They're not hearing any of it. Leaders often communicate conclusions without sharing the journey. And when people don't understand how you got there, they often resist where you're going. I remember one time in my newspaper days, I went to a leadership conference and I heard the CEO of Coca-Cola. And he said, Coca-Cola is not a beverage brand. We don't make beverages. We're a worldwide distribution brand. And until we made that mindset shift, we were limited in our potential. And as a newspaper person, I began to think, I'm not a newspaper. Our business is not a newspaper. It's an information brand. It's an information distribution brand. And so I came back to work with this grandiose idea of shifting our mindset and shifting our identity. And I got major pushback from both above me and below me on the chain of command. Why? Because they didn't hear what I heard. They didn't receive what I received. They didn't click where I clicked. And so change without explanation feels random. It feels threatening. It feels exhausting. And so you and I, when dealing with our teams, have to explain why this matters, why now matters, and why it's worth the discomfort. Look, any form of change, no matter how good it is for you, for your team, for your business, for your life, comes with a certain level of discomfort. That discomfort could be as simple as just the unknown. But if the why is clear, the what feels possible. If the why is clear, you get more and more buy-in. And as leaders, we're just as much salespeople to our employees, to our team members, to our partners, as we are salespeople to our public, to our customers, to our clients. During times of change, there's no such thing as over-communication. Every communication is vital because what people lack in facts, they will fill with rumor. What people lack in context, they'll fill with their own story, which is often wrong. Look, communication isn't a one-time announcement and then you go on about your day. Communication is the constant reminding, reassuring, and re-explaining what's taking place. You say it in meetings, you write it in emails, you reinforce it on one-on-ones, you repeat it until you're tired of hearing it. Because here's the thing, clarity comes from repetition, not brilliance. Clarity comes from them hearing it over and over and over and over again, even if you're not the best in the world at explaining it. They may not get it this time, they might not get it this next time, but eventually they're going to get where you're going. And unfortunately, it's on you to make sure they get it. So, how do we actually help people when we're wanting to take them through a period of change? Start with why. Here's what we're trying to solve. You see, I knew with what I had learned from Coca-Cola that if we maintained an identity of being a newspaper, that other forms of communication would pass us by, and that we would no longer be the trusted, the go-to in our market. But I never explained that. And so, in retrospect, in hindsight's 2020, explaining that every single day is necessary. Number 2, acknowledge the disruption. Look, this is change. Change is disruptive. Maybe it's a change in routine. Maybe it's a change in procedure. Maybe it's a change in focus. Maybe it is a change in personnel. Can I tell you, nothing will shake an organization more than major changes in personnel or their responsibilities? And if you're not explaining that, especially coming from leadership down the pike, resentment can build. Acknowledge that this is disruptive and this is going to be uncomfortable. Number 3, invite questions. Communication is not a one-way street. Communication is multiple directions. Communication, getting people's buy-in, means that you listen to their concerns, and not in such a way that you're trying to come up with the response, but listening to understand where they're coming from. Remember, they don't have the context you have, and you're trying to give them context. Number 4, stay present. Stay present. Don't just drop a bomb and leave. Don't just make a big announcement and then go into your office. Don't be in the middle. Be in the weeds. Be on the ground with everybody who has to facilitate this change. Look, you get it. You go to bed with it at night. You wake up with it in the morning. You think about it all day long. They probably don't. And so you being present reassures them that as you're going through this process, you are willing to pivot when things don't work. Look, they don't need perfection from you. No plan is perfect. No plan is perfect. So being there present while the plan is being executed lets you see firsthand where the gaps are and lets you pivot and fill those gaps in real time with your people. So I want to ask you this question. Where have you introduced change without enough explanation? I'm sure something's popped in your mind. Where have you introduced change without enough explanation? Where are you assuming buy-in instead of building it? Those of you in small businesses, especially in retail, you know the next trend. You've gone to market, you've done the things, but your people haven't. And so explaining to them why we are going to this system, or why we are handling things this way, or why we are shifting things around like this, or why we're reorganizing the storefront like that, you gotta build the buy-in. And finally, what conversation do you need to revisit this week? Where is there a gap in your leadership through change? Where are there people on your team who don't understand your why? Where are there people who are maybe concocting their own stories because you've not provided enough information? If your team is confused, frustrated, or resistant, it doesn't mean they're difficult. You know what it means? It means you're not helping. Look, leadership and small business, not for the faint of heart. And whether you think it's fair or not, it is on you and it is on me to take the lead, to do the work, to explain the why, and to lead your team through the process. Don't push them through the process. God bless.